All right, good afternoon. This is Jay from Monarch. Also have Vanessa Jarina from HMFA and New Jersey HMIS here with me to do this brief webinar, what I think will take a very short period of time. We're looking at making sure that the data entry for our Tri-County Continuum of Care Boards of Social Services with regard to their supportive services for the homeless funding is accurate in the HMIS system. So just moving on to what that requirement is. Basically, it's going to make sure that all of the hotel and motel placements that are paid for with SSH are in a separate emergency shelter HMIS project type. So there are multiple ways to classify the HMIS project. Some are support services only, some are emergency shelter, and if they are not classified as emergency shelter programs when we're entering our SSH hotel motel placements, then the information about those clients can't be used for some of the important reporting purposes that not only the state recognizes is important at DFD level, but also is important for our COC. Other SSH services can be entered as before, but for those folks who are in those placements where they would count as homeless, it's going to be important to make that distinction. And the contacts where we're writing in service contacts, that can still be done the same way, and you can select the appropriate funding source, whether it's SSH or if you classify it in any other way when you're labeling it. That can all be done the same way. It's just going to be about which program that person for that particular service is placed in. All right, and why are we doing that? Obviously, we're trying to make sure that we're counting the folks who are homeless as homeless when we're doing our point-in-time report or our annual homeless assessment report. And you can see our little letter here from the wonderful people at DFD at the state level are now asking that we do this for their purposes of reporting as well. As you can see here, we have a list of the current SSH HMIS programs for the Tri-County, and you can see that they're broken down by county, and they're broken down into two columns that I'll talk about that are very important for this distinction that we're making between emergency categorized programs and support service only programs. So as you can see in this left-hand column over here, we have emergency hotel motel placement programs. Those would be all here, and the way that we're breaking them down, as you can see, is listed in the bottom row here, and that's that this program is just for hotel and motel placements, including after-hours placements. And the reason for that is that folks that are staying in emergency hotel motel placements are counted as homeless under federal regulations if they're paid for with SSH dollars. So in Warren County, you're already doing a great job separating out Warren County SSHES or emergency shelter placements from your other placements in prevention. The only thing that I'll point out is that unless it's ever allowed again to place folks in safe harbor, which you would then place in this WCSSHES program, that everyone else, as you can see, including utilities, utility deposits, security deposits, back rent, first month's rent, landlord payments, other preventive services, would be entered under the other services or the support services only program in HMIS. And that includes shelter placements, and let me explain why. And that's because if we are categorizing these programs as emergency shelter programs, as their HMIS project type, that if we enter, let's say in Warren County for Family Promise, in Sussex County for Samaritan Inn, or Hunterdon County for Family Promise, if you're paying for folks to stay in those programs with your SSH program, and you're entering them in the emergency shelter category in your HMIS, that means we're going to double count them if we run a report for emergency shelter, because here's why. Okay, I'm going to place someone in the SSHES program who is staying at emergency or at Family Promise in Warren County. If I'm putting them in my HMIS program that's categorized as emergency shelter, and Bob Frankenfield is also placing that person in his emergency shelter program, then when I run a report for emergency shelter, I'm going to count that person twice, 2 times on the same night. okay? And that's the problem. Same thing for Sussex. Don't put the emergency shelter placements, just hotel motel placements. Because as you can, if you think about it, only those persons in hotel motels are the ones that we won't be counting by any other means because they're not entered in anybody else's HMIS programs. Same thing for you, Hunterdon County. I know it's less frequent that you place someone with SSH in the family promise out there, but please just stick, as your program says, to hotel motel for now. As you can see over here, we have shelter placements in bold. That's because really at some point it may be helpful to create a program that's, again, classified just for emergency shelter placements, but that's not what we're required by DFD to do at this point. At this point, really, it's just essential that we separate out our hotel and motel placements. And you can see that Vanessa, in addition to the Warren program, has been kind enough to create the Sussex County DSS ES Sussex program. This hasn't been utilized yet, but you can start entering your hotel motel placements in this program for your SSH placements. And then you can see that you have these other support service only programs already in HMIS. You're predominantly entering your SSH and preventive services here, but there's also a couple of people placed in SSH Sussex. It doesn't matter which of these programs you use to enter these services in the other services category, as long as everybody who is in hotel motel placements is placed in your ES categorized program. Hunterdon, same thing. You guys are entering everything right now into HCDSS services Hunterdon. Please make sure that your hotel motel placements are placed in this new program that Vanessa worked with you to create. If there's any questions, you can feel free to email me, jeverett@monarchhousing.org. So that's the letter J and last name Everett at monarchhousing.org, and I'll help clarify what's going on with this for you if you need any assistance. Otherwise, I think that really the crucial piece is that it's really easy to utilize these new programs in HMIS, because you can just choose it from the drop-down menu in HMIS when you're choosing what program to enter folks in. Take advantage of that, and we're going to pass it over to Vanessa to talk about that with you now, because she's going to run through that example in exactly what it might look like in your HMIS data entry point to intake someone and put them in the right program.
See my screen?
Yes. Yes, perfect. We got it.
So I stayed logged in as myself so I can use an example. So I'm going to go off of just Warren County, since they're in attendance, just to show you guys how it actually should be done. So what you guys would do is click on Charts from the home screen, and then click on Services. And from that drop-down, you're going to select one of your programs. So if we were providing the multi-hotel stays, that would be WC. And it's SSH HMIS Warren. You will leave it in data entry mode. Click on Contact Log. It'll take some time for me. It might take a little bit longer because I have the entire state of New Jersey in the system. And this you would do for the multi-hotel stays, as you guys are currently doing now. And eventually they'll get in there. Then it would throw you into contact logs. It would force you to select a consumer. It's going to stop it because it's not going to. It's going to keep clocking for right now. You would select a consumer and do a contact log. So let me log out quickly and just do trainers so you guys can see how it looks to create that contact log. So you would select the consumer. We're just going to leave it at that, and the worker would be yourself. This you guys wouldn't see. This is a feature that we have. You click continue, and you'd be dropped into services. What you would be forced to do is then you'll click continue, and you'll put in your service, emergency shelter, put in the unit cost, the units, how many nights, unit cost. If you want to put service detail, we say keep names out of here because county representatives can see this. And then you make sure that you select your SSH funding. And you would click continue to save. Of course, you wouldn't get this error message because you make sure that you fill in all the red asterisks, but that's pretty much just the basics of what you do. For inputting the service. Make sure you select the correct program. You saw how quick and easy it was. In regards to selecting a drop-down, you just make sure you select the correct program as Jay broke it down for you guys. It's rather quite easy. I know that we have...
Right, and so really it's only that first step that's different if you were going to enter someone in the emergency shelter versus the other services, right, Vanessa?
Yes. I know that... Hold on, wait. Josetta sent a message. Should we ever get permission to place again at SACOG? We would use a separate category for them. Also, can you speak a little louder? Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now, Josetta? I'm not sure if it was loud enough. Let me.
Okay, so Josetta says a little bit louder, please. And Josetta, that's a great question regarding safe harbor placements if it ever is eligible again. So basically what we would have as of now, right, you at TAS, you have two programs. You have the SSH prevention and you have the SSH ES. Okay, the placements would go under the ES heading right now if you weren't going to separate it out any further. But ideally, what we would hope is that, over the course of time, like I had said in the other slide, it would be great if we can separate further between shelter placements and beds that are hotel motel placements. But in the case of safe harbor, they will never pull into our HMIS programs because they're from out of state. So it would be fine to just put them in your Warren County ES SSH Warren program. Just put them in the emergency shelter program that you have. You can certainly email me. My name is Jay, again from Monarch. My email address is J, the letter, and then Everett at monarchhousing.org. And my number is 908-272-5363, extension 222. Yeah, and so I think that that's all for today. I think we're going to let everyone get going for their afternoon, but we have recorded this and we'll make sure we send this around. And also please do reach out about the question of other emergency shelter placements other than hotel motels if you have questions about entering that in SSH moving forward, or that SSH funding in HMIS moving forward. All good, Vanessa?
All good on my behalf.
All right, rock and roll. Thank you for being here, and have a great afternoon, everyone.
All right, have a wonderful evening.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.